if you guys could grab your seats, we'll get started here. It's technically 2 minutes before 11:30, so but we can get started and get our meal going and get the activities going. That's how I feel. Before we get into the meal, I think we can just do a couple of quick introductions. So, if you're not familiar with me, I'm Jared Borgman. I'm the athletic director here at Missouri Southern. I've been here for approximately a decade. I will be your MC. Kevin Grind would not do it, so you get the second best, or fifth, or 10th best, something like that. I'm not a Hall of Famer, that's for sure. First and foremost, welcome to Missouri Southern. We're glad to have you here. Look forward to having a great meal. We're going to hear some great stories this afternoon, and we're going to have a great time. Before that, however, I do want to recognize some of our leadership on campus from President's Council. So we do have, and look around, I see there's Darren Fullerton, a Vice President for Student Affairs. That's right, nobody claps. Okay, that's fine. Let's see. We've also got Rob Hughes, Business Affairs. He's our Vice President. President Marble is here. Welcome, President Marble. And we have the Executive Vice President, Brad Hodson, here as well. So thank you very much for being here. We appreciate that. The world of athletics involves hours not during the average work day. We don't play a lot of games on Monday at 10 a.m. or Thursdays at 1 p.m. My spouse, Maria, is not here right now. She's currently with my son up at Raypec. He races at 11:40. In cross country, so I'll get the results on that as soon as they come through. I do have two lovely daughters here though today, so I've got Logan and Reese. If you guys could stand, please, real quick. And yeah, the 6-footer won't stand. So anyway, I'm glad to have them. I rarely actually do have an opportunity to have family around, so I really appreciate the fact that they're here and able to be with me today. That's right. I agree. The same goes for anybody though on our staff, in our business. That you really sacrifice a lot of family time in order to do what we do in our business, and athletes are the same way. So I want you to let everybody know that in the world of athletics, and particularly if you're parents or if you're in the sport field, or if you worked as a coach, that your family really does appreciate, or we really appreciate, I guess, what the family has done in order to support us. So that's fantastic. Well, now we're going to get started here for the Athletics Hall of Fame. Before we get to our new members, let's recognize some of the Hall of Fame members from the past. So if you're a previous Hall of Fame member, could you please stand and be recognized? That's a pretty special group. Thank you all for coming back for this event. This event started quite a while back, and it's actually in here, I think it was 1986. And so you can look to that list, and you'll be able to see the folks that are in the Hall of Fame. So some of them are here, and obviously we appreciate them being here and representing us today. So the first thing we do is we have to get fed. That's the one thing I have learned. So we're going to start with the inductee tables. They will go up first, and then we'll work our way through. It will not take that long, and what we'll do is after everyone gets their food, has a chance to fellowship and enjoy the meal, we'll get started. So it'll be about 25 minutes or so from there. So with that, let's eat. Well, I think we're ready to begin. Appreciate you all being here. This is going to be a great event. This is really the event I look for the most during the year, is a chance to hear the stories, and I hate to even interrupt the fellowship going on right now, because it's a chance for families to talk, and some guys that haven't seen each other in 40 years have a chance to visit. But we'll get on with the program. So first off, if we can give a round of applause to Fresh Ideas for providing the meal. We appreciate all that they do. They do a fantastic job. So the question is, what is the MSSU Athletics Hall of Fame? The Missouri Southern Athletics Hall of Fame was established to pay tribute and give deserved recognition while enhancing school tradition by honoring former athletic letter winners, coaches, and others for meritorious service. The honorees selected as athletes must be graduates of Missouri Southern, and there must have been a lapse of at least 10 years since the individual last participated in athletics at Southern, and they must have shown distinctive, unique, or exceptional ability. In addition, consideration is given to the character and citizenship. Honorees selected for their contribution to Missouri Southern as coaches must have demonstrated good character and citizenship, while others' considerations for determining their selection are win-loss record, length of coaching career, exceptional concern for the well-being of student athletes, and outstanding achievement while or after leaving Missouri Southern. Honorees that are selected for meritorious service must have demonstrated outstanding contributions to Missouri Southern athletics and Missouri Southern, and for those contributions must be prominent and over a period of several years, while also having demonstrated the qualities of good character and citizenship. Teams that are selected must have finished in the top 4 in their sport in the country to be considered. The criteria was recently just modified by the Hall of Fame committee. With the addition of the 2018 class, the MSSU Athletics Hall of Fame will now include 123 individuals and 3 athletic teams. All of those names and teams are listed in the program you have before you. So that brings us to today's inductees. Each inductee will be introduced by a person of their choosing. You can read about each of the inductees in the program on your table, so I won't go through all that. You have that in front of you. One thing stands true about each and every one in this year's class. They are simply outstanding. Outstanding representing their families, outstanding representing their sport, and outstanding representing Missouri Southern. To give you an idea how this will proceed, we'll have each of the Hall of Fame inductees presenter come up and give an introduction. The presenter will give the recipient their award, and we will hear from the Hall of Fame inductee. Incidentally, the portraits you see up here in front of you were done by a gifted MSSU alumnus and a Hall of Famer himself. From the class of 2006, it's Jeff Cobain. He's an artist out in California, was a quarterback for us back in the 90s. Jeff played quarterback and currently works for Disney, Pixar, and other such companies with sculpting and other artist type work. So now for our first inductee. Here to introduce Jessica Selby Tallman is her presenter, Patty Vavra. Patty is a Hall of Famer from 1993 and a previous women's track and field coach and cross-country coach here at Missouri Southern. Coach, are you ready? No crying this time.
Good afternoon, or noon. Congratulations to all the inductees today. What a great honor for you all and a great honor for us for you to be here. It's my distinct pleasure to introduce Dr. Jessica Selby Tallman to you today. Her list of accomplishments during her time at Missouri Southern are both long and distinguished. She not only is one of the most decorated student athletes to ever attend Missouri Southern, but from 2005 to 2008, she was a highly respected and well-known force on the national stage in Division II track and field. Her events were the shot put and the hammer throw. And I know we said we're not going to repeat all of the accolades, and thank goodness, because I will go over my 5 minutes. But I'm going to mention a few just to kind of explain some of them. Jessica was an 8-time All-American. If you do the math, 8 divided by 4 years is 2 All-American awards per year. That's outstanding. She was a national champion, one of only 3 in the history of Missouri Southern on the women's side. In the hammer throw is what she actually won the national championship, but she was a runner-up 2 times in the shot put as well. Jessica was a 12-time MIAA champion. Again, in 4 years, that means that if you divide by that 3 times, she was an MIAA champion. There aren't a lot of MIAA champions in our midst, even across the conference itself, but definitely at Missouri Southern as well. She won an unprecedented 8 straight straight MIAA championships in the shot put. In other words, every time Jessica threw the shot put in her 4 years at an indoor conference championship or an outdoor conference championship, she was successful and was the champion. I think that's unprecedented, not at Missouri Southern, in MIAA. It may be unprecedented even across the country. That's a very, very difficult thing to do. I think these three accomplishments to me really not only demonstrate her unparalleled level of achievement, but the consistency of her success over time and the versatility of her success in being able to do that in more than one event. Jessica was a great competitor. As I look back now, 10 years later, I think how much I took for granted that she was going to win. But when the lights were on, she was at her best. And she never disappointed at a big championship. She was also named the U.S. Track and Field and Cross Country Coaches Association the National Field Athlete, Scholar Athlete of the Year in her senior year. And she was the MSSU Female Athlete of the Year 3 different times. But there are also numerous lesser-known accolades. She was a multi-time academic All-American. She received an NCAA post-eligibility scholarship, and she sang the national anthem at several of her national championships. In fact, she's still doing that for the Division II football championship and sings at the Royals games. So I don't think anybody sings it better. Well, maybe Whitney Houston, but but Jessica's multi-talented in so many different ways. I know she was in plays while she was here at Missouri Southern. Very, very well-rounded. My memories, the recruiting process, I'll never forget. I've never recruited somebody so hard to come and compete in track and field at Missouri Southern. But you know, it wasn't Missouri Southern I had to talk her into. She'd already decided she was coming here, going to be the honors program. I had to work really hard to get her to decide that she would go ahead and do track and field at the college level. And so she had been a middle distance runner in high school as well as a shot putter, and I remember thinking, well, she said, my knees are bad, I don't really like to run, which has probably changed by now. But I said, well, let's just do the shot put. And little did we know what would be ahead of her after that. The other things that I will remember is the Triple Crown year, 2007, 2008. Jessica was a senior. And what that means is the women's track and cross-country team won the conference championships in the cross-country season, the indoor track season, and the outdoor track season. What a special team and a special year for our program. But Jessica's leadership really helped bring that team together, that group of young ladies, in a way that probably very few track and field programs have done or can do. I remember Jessica asking for a meeting of the seniors before the indoor championship, and I, to this day, have absolutely no idea what they said, or I know what the result was. And I remember her team prayer at Maryville for the outdoor championship prior to that. So great leadership as well. And then there was the national championship on her final throw on a cold California day, wet. Her husband and coach, Jamie, looking on, she set a personal and a school record in an event, the hammer throw, that probably wasn't her premier event or thought to be in the past, and she won. Here comes the hard part. Really in short, Jessica has represented Missouri Southern on a national stage. Done it with pride, class, and character. And she's brought such notoriety to Missouri Southern and to Missouri Southern track and field. And I think she encompasses all what we hope our athletes and athletics are here. So congratulations, Jessica. Today, Jessica's joined by her parents, her grandparents, her siblings and her family, a couple of her past athletes, teammates, and also her husband, Jamie, who I would like to have come up here and come forward to me. He was our throw coach for our men and women's program from 2004 to 2009. and Jessica's direct event coach. So I'd like for him to say a few words as he comes up here. Currently, Jessica is a doctor of chiropractic medicine, and her and Jamie have 3 beautiful daughters, Josie, Julia, and Jana. So Jamie, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. I've always been Jessica's #1 fan, so I could stand up here and talk for an hour about all her accomplishments as well, but I'll keep it brief. So, in life, many of us meet a person who changes us forever. These magical people make you better. They challenge you to step up, to be a better coach, and to be a better man. They make you think differently. They make you kinder. They make you stronger, and they make you wiser. And if you get really lucky, they make you marry them. For me, that person was Jessica Selby. Jessica and I first met in the fall of 2004. I was in my 2nd year coaching the throwers, and she was an incoming freshman. We had a large group of throwers that year, but little did I know how big of an impact that group would have on my life, especially that redhead that wouldn't stop talking to me. Jessica made an immediate impact on our throwing group. She was determined to prove herself from the moment she stepped on campus. I could tell right away what type of drive and determination this girl had. Jessica compiled an impressive list of accomplishments at Missouri Southern. To do that, you need a combination of talent, training, discipline, staying healthy and fighting through injuries, a little luck, and more than anything, a determination to win. Jessica, of course, displayed all of these attributes and more throughout her career. Although most known for her athletic achievements, she was just as successful in her academics, music, and her many other endeavors. If you ever want a definition of a true student athlete, look no further than Jessica Selby Tallman. When Jessica capped off her impressive career, winning the Hammer National Championship, I had the privilege of presenting her the gold medal. Today, I'm honored and privileged to introduce the newest member of the Missouri Southern Athletics Hall of Fame, Dr. Jessica Tallman. Thank you.
Wow. You guys are making me feel all emotional up here. I've got more butterflies in my stomach than before singing the national anthem. But, you know, that's a long list that they just spit out there for everybody, but I'm going to be honest. There's something really special about being recognized by the university you competed for. And to be able to be enshrined in the history of this athletic program, along with all these other great athletes that have come before us and the ones that are being inducted today, this is the big one for me. This is the biggest honor. So thank you. I tell you, I've been told throughout my life a few times that I was a piece of work. But now, I'm a work of art. Told you they'd like that one, Jamie. But seriously, having a picture drawn of you is kind of like being pregnant and not knowing if you're going to like the way your baby looks when it comes out. So this is really nice, and what a talent that artist has. But do you ever really sit down and think about how our lives are the sum of all the choices that we make? And some of those choices, you know, they have a small change in our life. And some of those choices have a big impact in our lives. And some of those choices, they change our lives. If you could go back into the mind of high school Jessica, and you'd have to be very careful because it was a scary place. But if you could look into my mind and see what I thought my future would look like, it was completely different than where I've ended up today. I was very sure of 4 things. The first one was that I would never go to school in Joplin. The second was that I had absolutely no intention of competing in sports after high school. The third was that I swore I would never be a chiropractor. And the fourth was that I was pretty sure I would end up an old maid. I didn't think I'd ever get married. And so you can tell that one of my talents was not to be able to see the future. But as far as choices go, choosing to come to Missouri Southern was one of those choices that made a big impact on my life. And once I decided that, this person kept calling me. She kept asking me to join the track and field team and just compete. I know you'd be great at it. And I loved talking to her, so I kept up the conversations over the several times that this person kept calling me. And eventually I thought, you know what? I'll bet it would be a lot of fun. I'll just throw. As long as she says I can just throw, I can handle that, because throwing's easy. This is coming from someone who was doing middle distance and then shot put kind of on the side in high school. Let me tell you guys, when you compete at a collegiate level and Jamie Tallman is your coach, throwing ain't easy. I know a lot of people know a lot more about the running side of track and field than throwing. It kind of looks like it's a bunch of oversized people mulling around. Every once in a while they heave something heavy and it's like they're trying to dominate everybody else on the team. It's an alpha type of a competition. But really, it's a finesse sport. It takes a ton of time and preparation before you ever step into the ring. Unlike running, where you can have some natural raw talent and get out and do really well on the track or out in cross country, with throwing, you really have to prepare. It takes a lot of time in the weight room. It takes a lot of plyometric work. You have to train your body to be able to be explosive and responsive, not to mention all the drills you have to do. I mean, repetition after repetition out of the ring, and then you figure out each piece of the technique so that you can get in the ring, and then you practice going through the ring and refining each little piece of that technique. And finally, you get to where it's muscle memory, then you can think about putting that power and strength into the implement. And I tell you what, if you don't have the technique figured out and the mental part, you can't take all that talent, no matter how much you have, to transfer it into your implement and make it useful. And for me, that's been hugely relevant just in every task I've undergone in my life. If I have something I'm really good at, but I don't know how to channel it and to use it, I'm no good to myself or the people that I'm trying to do it for, like my team. So I did learn a lot of important lessons from track and field, and I think the biggest one came from overcoming adversity. And I'm sure a lot of you other athletes would say your biggest lessons didn't come from your successes or your victories, because the victories, that's kind of our reward for pushing through the hard times, right? My lessons came from the struggles, from those times where you fail and it's like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And Jamie and I had a heart-to-heart after my sophomore year. It was a tough year. But we pushed through and we figured out what we could improve and how to channel that and change it. And, a couple years of determined and dedication, we had some pretty exciting accolades on our list. And I tell you what, that's also relevant to daily life now, because I had 4 years year-round of chiropractic college that took a lot of dedication and perseverance. It's hard to be in a relationship. You have to continually work to improve and to communicate and make a marriage work. And overcoming adversity has also kept me from putting my children up for adoption. There's a lot of parents in the room, aren't there? So along with that, another thing you learn in track and field is that attitude is very important. And you've heard the quote, whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right. And luckily, I surrounded myself with people and coaches and teammates who really pushed for that I can part of the attitude. And you know what? All that work, I did. We did. And that's another lesson. Nobody gets anywhere by themselves. I don't care who you are or how powerful you think you are, you can't do it by yourself. It takes a lot of people to make things happen. And I don't know, Kimmy, winning's not very fun if it's by yourself, right? You want to have someone to share it with. So please, always, as far as choices go, make the choice to thank the people who helped you get where you are. Acknowledge them, give back, and celebrate with them. This award, this beautiful award, has my name on it, but it represents all the people who helped me along the way to help write this story. And I am going to shout out a few individual names that have played the biggest roles in my life. And I'll start with my mom and dad. Thank you for giving birth to me. I literally would not be here without you, but also in so many other ways wouldn't be here. They set an amazing example of how to have a strong family foundation. And that has been very key in everything I've done in my life, to have that sturdy foundation and support to always go back to in those times of adversity and struggle, when I didn't think I could persevere anymore, and when my attitude was leaning more toward I can't. Mom, you've always picked up the phone. You've always laughed with me and cried with me and given me advice, but also given me the space to find my own way and learn how to survive out there on my own. And Dad, you've always been such a big part of my life, just being involved, working out with me, playing in the church band, stargazing, the little things, dropping a note or a text here or there saying, hey, good luck today. I know I can't be there, but I'm thinking about you. Those things mean so much to a kid, and I'm very, very lucky to be able to call my parents, both my parents and my friends. I love you both. And then I have to go to that lady who kept calling me on the phone. If it weren't for those phone calls, I would not have done track and field. And you convinced me how much I was wanted here. And I don't know how everybody else is, but I want to go places where I'm wanted, and she made me feel so wanted and so welcome. And Coach Patty Vavra has just been an amazing role model for me through my life, kind of as an on-campus parent in a way, but also a friend. And she sets the bar high. She doesn't just produce good athletes, she produces good people from this team. And she always emphasized education first, athletics second. Now, somewhere I messed that up because I had Jamie Tallman first, and then I had athletics, and then I had education. But somehow it all worked out. But Coach Vavra, thank you for all of your encouragement, for the belief that I could do it, and for just being a friend. You'll always be on my Christmas card list. So I appreciate you. There are a few other people I want to throw out. Danae Jones, I don't know how many of you have ever been calling. I bet you know who Danae is. She was the senior track and field thrower on our team, and she should be in the Hall of Fame in my opinion, so maybe I need to throw that out there somewhere. But she always made me feel welcome and took me under her wing. She made me a better thrower. She was an intense competitor, and I'd never had an upperclassman who worked with me the way that she did. Jamie Burnham, he was the distance coach. He was always ready for a laugh, even when his car rolled down the hill and high-planed on a big board in the throwing ring. He just laughed about it, and we all helped him push it out. That was our workout for the day. He helped me run the last 3 miles of the only half marathon I've ever competed in. I will never, ever do that again. I'll leave that to Kimmy. She can run the long distance. Coach Rutledge. Coach Rutledge always found a way to showcase my singing abilities, and if it weren't for him, I don't know that I would have been able to sing the national anthem at so many big track meets. Sally Beard, where are you? There you are over there. Thank you for your leadership and passion as the athletic director while I was in school, and also for pioneering women's athletics at Missouri Southern. You set a high bar, and I'm glad to have competed in the limelight of what you left behind you. Thank you to all my teammates. Kelly and Kimmy are here today. You all worked your tails off constantly to improve, and you made practice and meets so much fun. Again, it's nice to have people to share the win with when we had that cross-country and track and field triple crown. Thank you to all of my grandparents who are here today. I'm lucky to have them all here with me. They found ways to support me from a distance, or whenever I was close by, they'd come see track and field meets, and that was all through high school and college, and even they went to Boston and watched me compete at the national level. Thank you. Grandpa Davidson, thank you for your adjustments and setting an example as a chiropractor. I had an injury. This is why I became a chiropractor, even though I said I never would. I had an injury my junior year that I almost couldn't get in and out of my car, up and down out of the seat in the classroom. It was so bad, and I just, like, no matter what I did, I couldn't seem to get functional. And for my indoor conference meet, which was in Warrensburg, he drove from western Kansas and adjusted me, and I was able to throw another championship throw. I strained my back doing it, but then he got me in shape again for my national meet. And it was at that moment that I knew that I wanted to be able to take care of my family the way he took care of me. And that's what changed my mind and made me decide to become a chiropractor. So thank you, Grandpa. Angela, my sister. There you are. What'd you do with my kid? Oh, just laid her out in the hall, I guess. You're the best sister a girl could ask for. She was also track and field. She was an All-American for Central Missouri as a heptathlete. So it's fun to be able to share some of those track and field experiences with her, and she's just an amazing person. I don't know what I'd do without her. I want to throw out a thank you to my roommates. They were my singing buddies, Sarah Wallace-Meyer and Amy Barnacle-Doning. They made the dorm room feel like home. We made a lot of music. And there's so many more people to thank. The fans who came out and made it fun to compete here at home, and also Hallie Hawker and the Chart newspaper. We have such a good newspaper staff here on campus, and they always highlighted the track and field and just really made it fun to be able to get the newspaper every week. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. Reggie. Yeah, my brother-in-law. Jamie Tallman. You guys have heard his name. He's a pretty special guy. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't too excited about being a thrower until I got to practice the first day. And I was like, whoa, I got a cute coach. I was like instantly way more entertained with this idea of being a thrower. And then I talked to him and I was like, whoa, he's kind of a jerk. But luckily I taught him how to coach and talk to women. I liked him a lot better after that. But I cannot think of track and field and throwing without thinking of Jamie Tallman. Like, they are the same thing to me. We started dating pretty early on in my career and got married before I finished competing my senior year. So he is track and field to me in so many ways. And everything that I accomplished, I honestly could not have accomplished without him, because there's a very high likelihood I wouldn't have stayed on the team had we not had this mutual interest of being the best we could be. And he's an amazing husband. He's an amazing dad. I could go on and on. He hates being publicly recognized for things, but just know that this is ours. Like, we did this. Everybody who was part of this, we did this. There was a T-shirt, I don't know if it's still out there, but it says, "I chose Division II." And Jamie would always say, "You settled for Division II." No, I chose Division II. And it was choosing to compete at the track and field level that changed my life. It was one of those decisions that picked me up from the path I was on and put me on the path that I am on today. None of this would have happened had Coach Vavra not kept calling me, had Jamie Tallman not been that handsome assistant coach waiting at the throwing ring, and had not everybody who came into my life from that point on made such a huge impact on who I am today. I chose Division II. And as I would say to my 3-year-old, good choice. Thank you all very much for this honor. It is a pleasure to be here today, and I look forward to hearing from everybody else who's honored. Thank you.
I was going to read your notes. I will admit, Jamie is kind of a handsome guy, so I can't disagree with that. Didn't we all? So, next we'll have Ken Beto come up to introduce Colin Beto. Well, I've never had the pleasure of actually watching Colin play in college. He had left prior to my arrival. I have had the pleasure of meeting Ken right away after I took the job here in 2009. He's been a supporter and a fan of Missouri Southern, and I've always enjoyed visiting with him, whether it's down in McKinney or even up here in Joplin. So therefore it's my pleasure to introduce Ken Beto to talk about Colin.
So, it's with great pride that I introduce Colin Beto for the induction into the Missouri Southern Athletic Hall of Fame on behalf of his mother, Angie, his sister, Megan, and her husband, Matt, his brother, Matt, and his husband, Brian, and his girlfriend, Courtney. You know, there's much I can say about Colin and his athletic achievements. I can talk about not only how he delighted his mother and me, but many more so fans as he played football from 2004 to 2007. You know, his football records are captured in the media guide and the news archives of the Joplin Globe, many fine articles written by Jim Henry, and some really fantastic audio preserved somewhere in the world by Kevin Grime. But in the short introduction, I want to talk about Colin Beto as I know him. You know, we knew from a young age Colin had some athletic inclinations. You know, one day we were playing basketball in our neighbor's driveway, and he was only about 2 years old. And he had a little accident. And rather than come in the house to get changed, he took off his dirty diaper and said, "I want to keep playing." That's him. We also knew he was competitive by nature, because that was the best way to get him to do things. Clean up the toys, let's have a competition. Who can clean up the most toys in a minute? Though Colin played baseball, and he was really an accomplished gymnast at the age of 8, we kind of felt soccer was the sport that he might be excelling in. And why, you might ask? Well, typically his games, they won 12, 13, 14, nothing, and he had scored every goal. But there was this fascination with football. We're not sure why. Maybe the fact that his mother is a huge Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Maybe the fact that my brother and I both played college football, or the fact that my father was a retired coach. Well, maybe it was in the genes. Well, we moved to Oregon when he was in the 6th grade, and he wanted to play Pop Warner football. So when he started 7th grade, that's when that happened. So we said, okay, you can play, but we want you to at least play rec soccer. Well, on the very first play of the first football game he ever played in, he touched the ball, he ran 60 yards for a touchdown. We knew the die was cast at that point. So we fast forward to the fall of 2007, and Colin had played his last game for Missouri Southern, and with tears in his eyes as he left the field. So what's next? Well, he was invited to various pro days, but he announced to us, you know what, I'm done playing football. Okay, so what's next? Well, I thought, okay, he goes to San Francisco and takes a business internship in a major corporation. He follows that with an internship in Washington, D.C., and think, okay, that's what he's going to do. Well, let me just say this. That did not appeal to him. So he graduates from Missouri Southern with a 3.98 grade average in business. So what's he do with that degree? He decides to go to culinary school in San Francisco to be a chef. Well, of course, he graduates top in his class, takes a job as a line cook in one of the top restaurants in the city. He progresses to the position of sous chef. But there's something wrong. His worst thoughts are unimaginable. He has suicidal tendencies. And that results in a family intervention and Colin getting the professional help he needs. Again, fast forward. Colin decides to move back to Texas. He gets a teaching certificate. So 5 years later, he's runner-up for Teacher of the Year twice at his school. And that's a nice honor, but he's annoyed that he wasn't the winner. He's been recognized by outstanding students as their best teacher. He's Assistant Coach of the Year among the 3 high schools, and those are the ones he told us about. The story doesn't end there. Colin has a heart for these students, the ones that particularly feel hopeless and feel there's no way out. So he started a nonprofit organization called Invictus that serves 2 purposes: educating teens and their families about depression and mental illness, and secondarily providing funding for those that cannot afford mental health treatment. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you Colin Beto. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Well, I'm officially emotional now. Yeah, I'm not used to standing behind a podium at all. So I teach AP US History. I also teach AVID, and AVID stands for Advancement via Individual Determination. So I get to teach, usually the stereotypical AVID kid is a lower SES, and usually minority-based to close the achievement gap. And so it's important for me to kind of be able to move around a lot in the classroom and be as interactive as possible. And so when Jerry was speaking earlier, he started to talk about the qualifications to be in the Hall of Fame. And I get the whole aspect of when you're in school and all the accolades that come along with it, but then he started to talk about what actually happens after school, about character, about integrity. And that's who I aspire to be. I never wanted to think about myself as this idea of playing Missouri Southern and like that's my peak. And I was 22 years old and I was done. And so knowing that those qualifications were taken into account, made me feel that much better about myself and being blessed to have the honor to stand before you today. About a week and a half ago, I was speaking to 600 plus seniors at my high school where I currently teach. Have you ever spoken to 17-year-olds before? And with the aspect of telephones and electronics, it's a very, very, very scary task. And I'm staring at them talking about how they're homesick for a place they've never been, for an experience they've never seen before, as they're all so anxious to get out of high school, feeling as though they figured it out. They know what they're going to do. They have it all planned out. They know the world. And then I started to remind myself when I was 17 years old and like going through this recruiting process and being 5'6", the atypical, I guess, football player, especially in Texas. So I went on a handful of official visits, Northwest Missouri State, handful of others, and then finally Missouri Southern. And I'm sitting at that cafeteria just over there with the whole recruiting class, and again, all my future teammates are wearing their letter jackets. They have about 1,000 patches all over it. My quarterback, Adam Hinspeeder, his letter jacket has medals all over it. You can hear him from a mile away. And I'm wearing a hoodie with a band on it. Because again, I wanted to differentiate between calling the football player and calling off the field at all times. And so a gentleman, a future teammate of mine, his dad looks at me and says to me, "Oh, so you're a kicker, right?" I'm like, "This is dead serious. That's my family." So I just kind of shrug it off, say whatever. So at night, right, the players get to take the recruits out. And again, I'm very atypical, and I'm very introverted as well, so it's hard for me to meet new people. But realistically, it wasn't just the coaching staff and John Ware and the hospitality that presented to me, but it was players like Jason Stumbo, TJ Onstadt, Joe Patasso. It was like those guys who there's a sense of camaraderie that you really can't put your finger on, and guys who realize that the sport is about playing for other people, not for yourself. So even after my recruiting trip here and weighing the pros and cons, I'm thinking Joplin, Missouri. I'm like a suburb of Dallas, Texas, and I need to go to Joplin, Missouri. Think I'm like too good for something. I finally signed on signing day, and I worked my way up here. It was really, really, really difficult for me. Again, trying to meet new people, but again, going back to what football provides to me that no other sport could. It's 11 guys having to do the right thing every single time, every single snap. It's an ultimate true team sport, in my opinion. And I'm so blessed and honored to stand here before you today. But again, going back through 4 seasons of playing here, it wasn't until the very end, the last season, when we finally had a winning record of 6-5. And that's what I take home with me. Because people would always ask me, "Oh, what's your catches how many catches do you have? What are your stats right now?" And I'd say, "I really don't know." And they think I was a liar, but I really had no idea. I promise you that. What I still think about, what keeps me awake at night, and honestly, what Jessica was talking about with the failures. I can go back to my junior year, and we're playing Washburn when I break Rod Smith's record, and I actually had a pretty good individual game, but then to win the game, there's a snap that I drop. I'll take ownership over that for a field goal, and we miss and lose a game. That's stuff that I still think about today. But again, it's about those failures and those hardships that kind of keep you going and keep you motivated to move forward. John Ware dies my sophomore year in the middle of the season. We finished the season. It was a very, very tough season. But I keep going back to this idea of camaraderie and brotherhood. And our coaches were in a really precarious situation. But what got us through the season ultimately was the team. And I was done after that year. I didn't think I wanted to play after my sophomore year. I mean, I'm an emotional mess right now, right? Let alone my head coach passed away mid-season, the man who recruited me to come to this school. And now I know the rest of the staff's probably leaving too. I had no idea what I was going to do. So my father, my parents tell me to stick it out. It's a great learning experience. It's like when you get a new job and the new boss comes in and they're trying to weed out other people, and it was tough when Bart Tatum came in. We had a whole bunch of kids quit that I was teammates with. But I'm happy I stuck it out. Again, a major learning experience for me. And again, through Bart Tatum and through his leadership, right, again, coming out in the end with a record of 6-5. And Darren Moore, who also can't be with us today, I suffered a lot of injuries when I was in college, a lot. And I lived in that training room, lived in it. Spent probably an hour in the training room before every single practice. And without his help, I wouldn't have been able to do what I could do to help the team. Thank you, KG, by the way. So KG, as I was talking to him last night, Kevin Grime, and it's hard to believe, I guess, we're about the same, or I'm his age when he was actually kind of mentoring me, whether or not he knew it. But again, being very introverted, it's hard for me to stand up here before you today, and they would start asking me when I started to become a more successful receiver to come and do like press conferences or speak to the media after the game, and I'm terrified. But like there's a presence about him, and like when you meet somebody and this feeling of true genuineness, like that's what Kevin Grime has. And by him asking me questions and kind of like walking me through the process, right, he made me feel more comfortable, more confident in myself. And then studying Missouri Southern, I had no idea what I was going to do, so Holly Goodnight back there, couldn't believe she's here today. Thank God for her. Without her, she's like my mother at school, guided me through, this is a class you're going to take, this is what you're going to do. I'm like, okay, help me out, I don't know. So thank you, Holly. Last but not least, I have to thank my entire family, who were all very, very, very busy. It's October right now. My head coach let me have a day off to be able to come out here. Thank God we played on a Thursday night. But to my sister, to my brother, who have been always supportive, my brother who always beat me up when I was a child, probably made me the toughest I am today because of it. But thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. And I'm only saying that in jest. And my sister for the, no, excuse me, I say the beating up part in jest, excuse me. Thank you. To my sister for moral support, to her husband, to my brother's husband, Brian, thank you. Courtney, thank you so much for supporting me in the last year and a half. And then my parents, it's been a roller coaster with me. As my dad told you the truncated version about the last decade of my life and trying to figure out life past high school. Or excuse me, past high school and then past college. And so again, I'm afforded today to work with kids and to help them where I struggled so that way they don't have to experience the same hardships down the road. And to all these other coaches and athletes and people who continue to work with kids today in some capacity, thank you too, because what I tell my kids is I don't know my worth until 20 years down the road, and I'll never even know it. I'll never hear that story where you told your kid or your grandkid about, hey, there's this guy, Coach Beto, who impacted me. And so again, all you coaches, everybody who interacts with kids, you'll never know your impact till down the road. But again, thank you guys so much, and I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Thank you. Want me to take a picture?
Thank you very much for beating them up. We appreciate it. Keep up the good work. So it's fantastic to hear about that, and obviously the trials and tribulations of life, but as well as when you get into the coaching profession, or where you get into work with student athletes or students as a teacher, which I was a teacher for 8 years. Nothing's more impactful in your life than you can be a teacher and change people's lives. So for all the teachers, and particularly Colin, we really appreciate what you do. We're on our last and final group. So I'll have Warren Turner come up to introduce the 1978 baseball team. This is only the third team to be inducted into the Hall of Fame at Missouri Southern. Warren Turner, affectionately known as WT by most. Maybe affectionately is not the right word, but we'll stick with that. Was the second baseball coach in the history of Southern, is also an MSSU Athletics Hall of Fame member from the class of 1996. Coach Turner, take it away.
Thank you. Congratulations, Jessica, Colin, you inspire us. By you being in the Hall of Fame, you've lifted us up. I know Sally and Jim back here got this Hall of Fame going a few years ago, and they got to be proud of the people that, when they come back, and the awards that people give. Before I start, we have a brand new grandbaby. That's Roger. You want to introduce your grandson?
He's getting fed out there. He's 3 weeks old. He's Alexander Roderick Dreyer. Born on his daddy's birthday.
What position? All of them. Bryce, get that name down, okay? We may need that. This group that I have are special to me because that was my second year of coaching. Typical high school coach. I'm going to come in here. I know everything. I'm cocky. All out coach everybody. Well, Coach Frazier got me through football. If it hadn't been for him, I wouldn't have been there. But baseball-wise, I found out different. I found out that's different. These guys educated me. They made me a lot smarter. The year we had was great. There was a lot of things happened. First of all, Mother Nature didn't agree. We rained out 24 games that year. But I'll tell you what we did learn. We didn't have a tarp or a AstroTurf field. We raked and tried everything from kitty litter to ground, all kinds of diamond dry to get the field ready. So we progressed. It was all new to me, and of course they'd been in it too. We went through our season of rain, and we played 8 Division I games. I always like to play those Division I teams because you find out about your people in a competitive situation, what they're like. If they're getting beat or someone's throwing the ball, striking you out, and if you're going to get better, you got to play better people. So I think that was the key. Another goal we had was just to get in the district playoffs, because the year before we were 15-24. It was to get in, and I needed to do a lot of recruiting, and I brought in quite a few players to go with what Coach Watt, by the way, got to give him credit. The coach before I was recruited some of these guys too. So our goal was to get in the district playoffs. So we played Oral Roberts late in the year, and I think that kind of helped to get us ready. And then we went into the district, not knowing what we were getting in for, and we breezed through the district. 3 games. So they said, Coach, where are we going next? I said, I don't know. They'll tell us. It's some regional somewhere. And it was Wisconsin, Oshkosh. And I thought, is that where they make those jeans? I figured, so we headed off to Oshkosh, not knowing what we were in for, in vans. We didn't have buses then, but we had vans, and we drove, and we got to Oshkosh, and it was nippy. I guarantee you, it was cool when the wind was blowing in, and we didn't have any idea, but we played good. Tell you what kind of coach I am, the wind was blowing in, I don't know how many miles an hour from right field, and I told the guys before, this is me coaching again, said, guys, get on top of the pitch, hit ground balls the opposite way. Doug Adams hit 3 home runs into the wind. That's how good a job I did. So I always remember those high fly balls. And then we breezed through that with playing those Minnesota teams. They had, that didn't bother them at all, the cold, but we went through those teams, and then we went to the World Series, which was in Missouri Western, St. Joe. Coach Frazier, when we were in, I had to raise the money because we were about on the end of our budget, weren't we, Coach? About on the end, so we had to raise the money to get there. And we breezed through that. And we also had rain there. I think we spent 2 weeks. I'm glad we weren't paying a motel bill up there. We stayed 2 weeks. And we eventually played through, and Emporia beat us for the national championship. So what a year this was. I want you guys to come on up here now, and I'm going to let you say a few quick words because we're not going to be here all afternoon. But as these people come up, look at no facial hair. Oh, that dog, I got to get you. Look at these short haircuts. Don't they look like a good-looking crew of guys? By the way, Roger Dreyer, if you know, he came to us from John Brown University. And if you all remember Wally Moon, how many guys remember Wally Moon? Wally Moon was his coach at John Brown. He transferred here to Warren Turner. Do you know to tell me how I compare Wally Moon? Would you okay. I'm just proud you're here. But let me tell you, and I'm going to let them have the mic. 3 major things they accomplished, I think, in my opinion. they helped get our program started. It was no longer Missouri who. We played Oklahoma State. They said Missouri who, whatever. So we got that off ourselves, and they helped us get that going, and that was important, I think, to get us started. The second thing they did was they let us know that we could compete at the national level. And after they went to the World Series, we went 4 other times to the World Series. We went 3 times to the NAI World Series and 2 times to Division II World Series. But you are the guys that said, hey, we can do it. We can compete. We had no idea. And the last thing is, my name's on that park there, over there. But let me tell you, they had a lot more to do than I did on that, and it's an honor. But I want to tell you, when you see that field, you look at yourselves with pride because you had something to do with that. I figured probably the only thing I get named after me is the restroom. But you guys had that. So those 3 things are important to our program. And I think also, I'm not just sure other sports carried. Softball later they won the national championship. Pat LaPera did, and we're competing at national level. I don't know if our thing helped way back then, but I know it helped baseball. So we want to have each guy say, what do you want them to, how much time do you have real quick? Okay. So go ahead, Greg, announce your name, and if you want to introduce your wife, and tell them where you're from, and all the things that Missouri Southern did for you. So
Absolutely.
To the alumni fund.
My name is Greg Curran, and I'm from Washington, Missouri. My lovely wife, Delisa, here to my left, married, almost a childhood sweetheart as well. I want to thank Missouri Southern for the opportunity to play baseball. What a life, a kid out of high school getting to go do something he loves so much at Missouri Southern. I want to thank you for the great preparation you had for me to become a teacher and a coach. It really made my career. Done that for 38 years. Coached a lot of sports over the years. One of the notable things that comes up to coach is, hey, coach, how's your team? Best answer I had was, I'll tell you in 10 years. Well, I can tell you this. I'll tell you in 40 years, these guys were pretty awesome. So this reunion's been wonderful for me. Thank you, guys. It's wonderful to get to reacquainted, and God bless you all.
Come on, Greg. I got jerseys, by the way. These were the jerseys they wore. 40 years old.
Were you 14? I don't remember. I thought I was 14.
You were 14.
You trade the numbers later.
Okay. My name is Doug Adams. I'm actually from here in Joplin. My wife, Crystal, and my parents, Keith and Alice Adams. First of all, I just want to say thanks. I don't think, like Jessica was talking, I don't think I played a game of any sort where my folks weren't there. So I just appreciate that. They've followed me through so much. And like Greg said, you know, the thing is we didn't have Nolan Ryan or anybody like that on our team. We just had a lot of people who just refused to lose. And like I said, we played Oklahoma State and Kansas State, Oral Roberts, all these teams that were top-notch Division I. So once we got to our playoffs and all, we had been thrown through the fire quite a few times. So I think that was a big help to us. But just like Greg said, beyond baseball, just the camaraderie and the you know, the will just to do our very best carries over so much into your life. I, like Greg, became a teacher and a coach and taught for 30 years in the Joplin system, and it's all because guys like this that encourage you to do your best and really make a difference. And so just thank you guys as well for all that you've done.
I'm Steve Spatz, my wife Kim, and it was a great ride, and I thank you for everything Missouri Southern did for me. Just like these guys, I'm still coaching, baseball coach, and it's a great ride and great camaraderie, and enjoyed it immensely, and thank you all.
my sayings, are you? Yeah. Hi, my name is Randy Cable, and this is my family, Chuck and Donna Blaney, sitting right over here. And I'd like to thank everybody here for giving us this opportunity. This is really a great honor, and it's been 40 years since I've been back here, and it's great to see you all. Thank you very much. Hey, the reason his hair is long, he's an Elvis impersonator.
And what he didn't tell you is that we used to call him Rocky because he was from Pennsylvania and he kind of has that accent, right?
That's right.
That's right, yeah. We always knew Rocky was in right field for us. It was good. My name's Lindy Snyder. I spent 4 years here at Missouri Southern. Very proud to be a Missouri Southern alumni and part of Coach Turner's from first year through the 4 years. And I've spoke to a lot of my teammates from the 77 through 80 season, and we want to get together and have his first 4 years. I don't know when we'll do it, but we'd like to get together his first 4 years, pull everybody together, and have a big reunion of all the ball players and coaches. So that's in the planning, I hope. I just want to throw that in for free, okay? Very good. I played for 2 amazing coaches. Coach Turner was amazing. He always had solutions to the problems, whether it was on the ball field, yeah, on the ball field, or the game ran late and the cafeteria's closed. He always knew someone to feed us, and we were always hungry. We had a tournament over spring break. The dorm is closed. He knew someone to house us for that 1 week. He knew more people in town and always had a solution to the problem. And I admire him for that because he networks people like him and he likes other people, and that really helped.
Is that legal under NCAA rules?
Well, this was NAIA, anything goes. But we paid our own room at the motel. Yes, that's right. I'll just say this. I played for Dick Birmingham at Hillcrest. I played for Coach Turner at Missouri Southern, and I still like to be involved in baseball and athletics. And it's amazing how many times I'll be at a baseball camp or saying something, doing something, and I'll say something and I'll think, that's what Coach Turner said, or that's what Coach Birmingham said. Coaches make amazing impact on our future and our lives, and I don't know what else to say other than it's been great.
I'm Roger Dreyer. I grew up at Billings, Missouri. I have been teaching school. I'm retired. I'm a retarded farmer at this point in time in my life. My wife is here with me today, is Dana. Our oldest son, Rodney, his wife, Ann, and you've met our grandchild, Alexander Roderick, back there getting fed dinner, and my daughter, Diana. I'd first like to say thank you to the Hall of Fame committee or whomever, because I think this is a great honor for being part of this team. These guys that are up here accepted a young, cocky little blonde-haired guy that came walking in here his last year of college, and they made me feel welcome, and they still make me feel welcome, and I appreciate it. Coach Turner, sitting at his desk one afternoon. Now, Jessica, I didn't get all the recruiting calls, okay? He was sitting at his desk one afternoon in July, and I walks in, and I was expecting to see Coach Wook. That's who I was expecting to see. And there was Coach Turner, and I flopped myself down in the chair, and I said, Coach Turner, I'm Roger Dreyer. I want to come to Missouri Southern for my senior year in baseball. And he goes, oh, I can't talk to you. And I'm going, well, if you can't talk to me, who can? Because I want to come to school here. So he got me here, and I greatly appreciate it. And I've got another story about you, and then I'm going to get it done over here. He was registering me one day, probably for my last year here. And he said, Dreyer, he says, you've got to take 12 hours to be eligible to be out on the ball field. And I only had 10 hours down on a piece of paper. And I said, well, okay. He said, you're 2 classes away from elementary certification. And I looked at him, I said, Coach Turner, I could care less about elementary physical education. He said, well, you're going to get certified in it anyway. I've taught school for 28 years, and I taught K through 12 physical education all 28 years. And I appreciate it. Thank you.
My name is Bob McAfee. I went to school at Webb City, so I've been coming to Missouri Southern watching games for a long time. And my wife, Sarah, she's not here. Oh, there she is. She was a cheerleader back in 1972 for when the football team won the championship, so that's pretty good. My son, Brad, his wife, Tina, and my grandsons, Wyatt and Barrett. They're all baseball players, and I'm not a coach like these guys are, but I do try to help them, and I teach them a lot of things Coach Turner taught us. So, and I'd like to thank Missouri Southern and thank all you guys.
You're gonna try them all on, right? At some, yeah. So, well, thank you very much, guys. We really appreciate it. And let's give another round of applause to the 3rd team ever in the Southern history. I will comment while we're getting the photo. There's one thing I did learn: you should recognize your wife in the crowd. So. We'll not hold that, we'll hold that accountable to that, I guess, but thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate it. They look like they still can play, actually, don't they? So, slow pitch, but still. What a great day. This is, as I said before when we started, this is the thing I love the most, is the chance to be able to introduce folks to the Hall of Fame and hear their stories and what Missouri Southern means to them and how it's impacted their lives. So I appreciate all the comments, and I think a lot of us take those lessons home with us and use them in our lives as well. I do have a few things we have to wrap up here. So tickets to the game are available for purchase at the gate. If you need that, obviously the members here are going to be at the event as well. But if you have any other people showing up later, they can get those at the gate. Let's see, halftime. I got to make sure I got this right. Megan's going to kill me. So halftime, we will meet 7 minutes prior to halftime. We'll meet right outside here, and she will make sure we escort you all down to the field. So 7 minutes before half, meet here. We'll go down to the field as the Hall of Fame inductees, and we will announce you on the track at halftime. I do have to give a few special thanks. First, I want to thank all the other Hall of Famers for coming. It's very special that you're able to come here and support the new inductees, so thank you all very much for coming. I want to thank Justin Maskus and Matt Stainthorpe for helping. They're actually broadcasting this, but they also produce the programs and put a lot of things together for us, so we appreciate what they've done. Also, other staff that make this possible: Carissa Burr, Alyssa Bryant, and James Kinder, who runs the facilities. And then finally, we want to thank Megan McCullough, who most of you have been communicating with about this. Megan really does all the work to make this happen. So Megan, thank you very much for what you do. We can give her a round of applause. That might help. As well, for the new inductees, you'll have a named parking spot outside for game time. So when you're coming back in, you'll have your credential to get through the gate, and you'll have a named spot, so pull up. So I know the Beto's drove in like 12 different cars. You should carpool here collectively so you can get the primo spot, okay? Again, at the conclusion of this, we're going to try to get all the Hall of Famers together for one quick photo. And then these will be put up into the Hall of Fame, which is actually over at Young Gymnasium. Also, they will be There'll be information that's in the Digital Hall of Fame, which is located right inside the door if you come inside. So you should be able to click on that, and you're actually already, the new Hall of Famers are already in the system. So you can take a look at that as well. But anyway, so these will be posted across the street. Otherwise, I just want to thank you all for coming. Again, this is such a special day, and we're going to have a lot more fun the rest of the day as well. So thank you very much, and we'll see you out at the game.